to a place that does all you can eat sushi. So
you know the rule about those places. You gotta eat so much that they are losing money.
Yeah.
Big podcast money.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About That. I'm your co-host Tony,
and I'm Martin. It's today's topic or theme or whatever is a serious one, ain't it, Tony? But we aren't going to go too deep. I think we'll see where we end up. But we're going to talk about global temperature changes and all that stuff with help me, Tony, I forgot the word.
Climate change and
all that nasty stuff. What's your when this kind of became a thing about global warming? Everyone was kind of set that the globe is warming up, but they now figured out that's not the case. It's not warming everywhere, because some places it's cooling down, and places are being cooler than it's been before, but they're also hotter than it's been before. So it's climate change, not global warming. And I think that's maybe not everyone's got everyone's attention. They're still kind of screaming out global warming, but that's actually proven wrong.
Well, and of course, part of it too was that, the detractors back when it was global warming would be like, "Well, see, it's getting colder, so it's not global warming, and it's not real." And
haven't had this much snow since 1803 and stuff like that. And the next year they didn't have snow at all. So it's a major change all over. It's drought there where it's never been droughts before, and all the way around. And I lost my words.
Wow, that never happens to me.
Never. I saw this. I mean, when I came up with this, I remember I saw this show with Sir David Attenborough. I mean, everyone knows who that is, Sir David Attenborough. It was about how everything in nature has changed since he started with this, how many species have died and how things are declining in the sea and all the jungles that are being cut down and stuff like that because of human intervention, chopping down trees for money. And but they say, hey, we are planting these trees, but they're only planting like one type of tree, and that destroys kind of the animal life and the insects life, because some birds are only nesting in this kind of tree and the monkeys can't climb in that kind of tree there because their food is in other. So I think it's grander than we could possibly understand sitting here in our houses. It's kind of scary if you think long enough to it, I think. Yeah. What's your take on all this?
I mean, fairly similar to yours, I suppose. I mean, just environmental issues generally are something that I think, like, my family has always had at least some concern about. My dad, for example, is, he's very keen. My whole life he's been very, very strict on recycling.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great.
Cans do not go in the trash. Never throw cans. I mean, we'd get in trouble if he found cans in our trash cans.
Yeah.
As opposed to,
because when you mean cans, you mean this kind of metal cans, right?
Yes, tin cans, aluminum cans,
whatever they're made of.
soda, you know, for
Yeah.
soda, pop, as we call it here.
Yeah.
So you know, we've had some of that, and yeah, it is kind of a scary thing. I mean, to know that this stuff is changing, and to know that it's not being taken, at least by my country's government, as seriously as maybe it could or should be.
Yeah.
Because
But in our country, I mean, we did not have any coal power plants.
Sure.
We have, I think it's like 90% green energy from wind and water and stuff like that, and solar powered a little bit. Even though we have so much oil and gas, we're just sending it over to somewhere else. We're not using too much of that for electricity. But then again, we are only about 5 million people, and we want to be kind of the best in the world on this thing. Every country wants that, to be the best in the world. That's kind of, yeah, everyone wants to be the best. But there are also people that say, what are a little country as Norway going to do? I mean, we're only this and that many people, and only that percentage of people are going to do the things necessary. So why are we even bothering doing this? Who are bothering? I mean, 5 million people. How many people are living in your city? It's like 15 million. So it's dragging down big countries, is saying we can't do it because it's ruining everything else, and small countries says, if we do something, it's not going to count at all. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, there's that sort of I mean, it's the same thing like when we talk about like voting in the United States. You know, Norway by itself doing this thing doesn't, like, an individual vote doesn't matter so much.
Nope.
But all the individual votes together matter. And it's really tough to, like, because I mean, clearly there are challenges and costs associated with, you know, renewable energy as sort of a main
Definitely.
source. And it seems equitable if all the countries are doing it. and like, but you know, it's tough for, say, I don't know, a smaller country like let's say Belgium. We'll say
Belgium. Yeah.
Belgium, why not? And I don't know, you know, don't at me. I don't know what Belgium's you know, environmental stuff is like, so maybe they're great. I don't know. I'm just using them because it was the first country that popped into my head.
Yeah, Belgium, they're like twice as many people in as Norway, just for scale. So they're it's a small country, but they're twice as many people as us.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, on an individual level, Belgium would say, like, well, you know, that's great and all, but we're not going to make a big difference, and it's just going to cost us to make this transition. So why would we do it? And you know, it's a paradox, because clearly, I mean, the difference between Norway doing it and Norway and Belgium doing it is negligible on a global scale, right?
Yeah, but then again, you can stand and say, we are a small country, we made it, why the hell can't you do it? You are 100 million people, why can't you do it? We did it. And yeah, you got to see it from both sides, and it's a huge change. But also, let's talk about electricity now. And the EU, we are part of the EU, kind of, with an agreement for trade and stuff, so we have to follow their restrictions and rules on many things. But they have this goal that I think it was 2050 or something. They wanted every car sold in the EU to be electric, and that's a great ambition. But the electric grid is not built for it, and there is not enough energy to produce only green energy. So they would have to turn up the coal power plants to feed the electric cars. and then you lose everything you tried to gain. Because now, if I is not allowed to charge an electric vehicle with a normal outlet, you need the charging station at home. That's a lot, because it's a lot of power there and fire hazard. You have to, at least here in my town, you have to ask for permission of how huge or how large fuse you can have on it, because the power grid isn't built for everyone to have the largest and best that is. So it's positive to go electric, but when it costs too much to power it and there is not built for it, they're kind of doing it the wrong way. They should be building out the grid before they set the goal, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's yeah. I mean, at least you want to have. I think it's not a terrible thing to have the goal.
Definitely not.
Because that's a much more, at least politically, it's probably a more interesting or more important goal to say, let's be on all electric cars by 2050, as opposed to let's have a really nice electric grid by 2050. You know, that's not going to win them votes, so to speak.
That's totally true, and that's yeah, it's so sad that it has to be like that.
To also respond to one of the other things you'd mentioned, my understanding, so because you were alluding to how the placing more demand on the grid means more energy production, so more like full power plants having to be fired and things like that. My understanding, at least there, is that power plants are much more efficient than car engines. So in terms of like greenhouse gas emissions, like on a per car basis, it's still a positive thing.
Probably.
Because
probably.
Power plants are, at least at the time I learned this, because of course fuel efficiency is getting better and better all the time.
Yeah.
But at the time when I learned that originally, it was basically, well, yes, but power plants also do it better, because they're doing it on a larger scale. They can they're better set up they have better controlled stuff to derive the maximum efficiency from their heat engines. So
that makes sense. I haven't thought too much about that. It makes no sense for me to stop using fuel and start using coal because you want to go electric. It doesn't make any sense for me. And also there was this bus. They started using electric buses in one of the largest cities in Norway, and they used diesel generator to charge it. So it was because they didn't have any charging places, any place to charge it. And that was in the beginning of this, though. But it made the news, to say it mildly. Yeah. How's the electric car? Is there any electric cars around? Is that something you see?
Oh yeah, actually, in recent years, sort of the big name in electric cars has really been Tesla.
Yeah.
Who they have a few
over in the US at least. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I see lots of Teslas on the road these days. I mean, it's still not the majority of vehicles or anything like that. And then I think there's Nissan Leaf. There's a few
Nissan
other...
Leaf. Yeah, Nissan is quite huge in the market of electric cars. Yeah, yeah, they are.
Sorry, clearing my throat, but I was professional enough to mute myself. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I actually watched and got kind of riled up by a video, a documentary. I watched it actually when I was in college, so it's a little older now. It was called "Who Killed the Electric Car?" And
it was that's kind of interesting. Yeah,
it was talking about. I mean, there was kind of a surge in, I believe, the 90s, maybe the mid to late 90s, at least in California, of electric cars being made, and people really liked them. I mean, and this was even, these are older electric cars that only had like 60, 80 mile ranges on their batteries and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But due to a lot of
that was kind of far back then. I mean, for a car.
yeah, I mean, these days we get like what 300 miles or so to a full charge.
Yeah, 300 miles. I have to.
They have what 450 kilometers, something like that,
Yeah, I think they're even further now.
or 500 kilometers would be
Yeah,
right.
maybe. Yeah, it's far though.
Yeah, much more than it used to be. But anyways, I mean, this was back in the 90s, and people, it sounded like the owners were really quite, they really loved them, but for whatever reason, they were only available for lease. And then through some sort of, fossil fuel industry shenanigans, the cars basically, like the companies just kind of folded, and the cars all got taken away, and people were upset about that because they loved their electric car. And I mean, so I mean that's the thing that gets me riled. This we know what really there's the Family Guy thing. You know what really grinds my gears? No, it is just all the lobbying and stuff done by fossil fuel industries to keep down, some of these new technologies and their adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it feels really cynical to me. And like, I mean, like even, so I could see people saying like, what would happen if, I mean, obviously there's reasons that this wouldn't be the case, but let's say tomorrow the United States said, I'm outlawing all oil production. And people would say, well, obviously that's not going to happen. People would say like, oh, well, that's not fair to the oil companies. I mean, that's their livelihood. But like, I want to say like, guys, this isn't new. The writing's been on the wall here, since the energy crises of the, before I was born even. Yeah. I mean, like we know oil's limited. We know that fossil fuels are not good for the environment. There's been a very clear push to lessen and eventually hopefully eliminate their usages or greatly limit them. So it's not like they haven't had time to figure out what to do to stay solvent.
Yeah.
It's just that instead of spending their effort on that stuff, they spend it, trying to keep doing what they've always been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just short-sighted.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what gets me. It's just like that you've had every opportunity. You've had decades to see this coming. You've got highly paid experts who can look at the world, and outside of just like money, I don't know, see what's happening here.
Yeah,
I mean,
there is companies that have kind of they have seen this coming and changed their direction of the main direction, but still continue doing that in a smaller scale, what they always done. But they've changed the main direction of the company to doing greener or maybe something all different that they did as a small side project before. And I think the huge oil companies need to realize that. I mean, there is cases in Norway where they are protesting new drillings close to shore and stuff like that, because it's ruining so much for everything with a old oil rig or whatever they're putting up in the sea, if it's floating or if it's stationary or what. It's not good for anything, and an oil spill ruins for decades. So I'm not too pro of oil, and I've come to realize these recent years. I mean, I have a lot of fuel engines. I mean, we have the boat, we have cars. I mean, I have a diesel car. I have the garden tractor. I have this motor saw. I have this saw. On the summer we have this saw, and it demands gasoline. It demands motor oil, and it's like the chainsaw oil, and it's so much oil and and fuel that just me and my family are using per year, and we are not using it too much. I mean, there are people who are doing it way more than we are, and they don't care at all. So it's yeah, I think about it, but then again, it's no better option. But we try to buy these kind of the greener oils. They're a bit more expensive, but they're probably made better, so they don't pollute that much. But yeah, also the electric option, it's not that good yet. You would have to charge it so many times that it's not effective enough to buy for my use. With the thought of the electric car being made in the 1890s, it's kind of incredible they hadn't gone further. But as you said, that probably because of all the oil companies, so yeah, fossil fuel companies just pushing it down.
Well, yeah, and the thing that's always baffled me about it is like we knew. I mean, essentially, we've known for a long time what oil is and the limited nature of its existence. Like, it's like we know it doesn't regenerate. It's not. We
not in our lifetime, at least.
Yeah, it's like I can't fathom the sort of the short-sightedness just of the whole endeavor to like just use oil or other limited resources like that, like they're limitless. I mean, even outside of the like environmental impact of using them, like I just don't know why. I don't like things. I don't like having to manage limited things.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand why so much of the industry is cropped up around something without like trying to do it in a way that's sustainable. Like,
yeah, I mean, oil and stuff like that is great for use, but I would rather have them to use it to something else. I mean, you could use it, but maybe not as fuel, because you use it and then poof, it's gone. Maybe make something more out of it. I mean, they make plastic out of it, and that's also a huge problem. They find microplastic everywhere. I mean, they even find microplastic in fetuses that haven't been born yet. That's really scary. But I guess they could use it for another thing than just wasting it and blowing up in the sky.
I mean, oil's used as a lubricant will never go away.
No, of course, but you have the vegetable or the bio oil, but it's not as good, at least not yet. And I talked about my I'm not too confident in electric cars. They're not too efficient yet, because but something I'm rather pro is hydrogen and electric, like the combination of running on hydrogen to produce electric, because the electric motor has I don't know the English phrase there, but it uses like 90%, 95, 98% of the energy given to an electric motor is given out in power in a fossil fueled motor. It's closer to 50%. The rest is going out to friction and stuff like that. So an electric motor is incredibly efficient. But if you had something like hydrogen to produce electricity, that would be amazing. Hydrogen is expensive to make. That's the catch, and it's extremely explosive. But I know the Opel factory in Germany are producing this van going electric and hydrogen as we speak. They're rolling out from the factory, so it's in production.
Yeah.
And you can drive on one tank. You can drive 300 metric miles. You can fill up twice a year. It's so incredibly amazing.
Yeah, the hydrogen fuel cell thing is, I mean, that I've heard about that for a long time too. I'd love to see more of that.
Yeah. Was it Honda that started with it? Honda?
That.
Yeah, it was Prius. One of the Prius.
Toyota does Prius.
Yeah, Toyota, whatever. Yeah. It's from Asia.
Yeah,
I mean, it was Toyota Prius. Yeah, it sounds right. I think they started with that, but they had to cut it down because everyone did electric and they had to follow the market. But it's coming back now.
Sure. Oh shoot, I was going to respond to something you said and I forgot.
Hydrogen fuel cells. You started talking about. Yeah,
that stuff is awesome. I remember. I mean, in school we learned. You're talking about the efficiency and how electric motors are so much more efficient.
Yeah.
I know there are holes to what I'm about to say. Overall, the point stands, I think. In school, though, we learned, basically there's a formula for the efficiency of a heat engine, which is essentially what, any sort of combustion-based engine is going to fall into. And the maximum possible efficiency is 60% under completely ideal conditions.
Yeah. Here I just found it on Wikipedia. An effective fuel cell motor under optimum, the best optimum. The words are just the combination of Norwegian words that are kind of similar, and then you have the English. It's blah. But you have on the diesel it's 42%, and on gasoline is 36%. That's the best serial produced motors today. Mm-hmm. Then you have the electric motors that are up to 98%.
Yeah, it's amazing. Of course, there's challenges. There's so many challenges still about electric.
Of course.
I mean, because some things are also like renewable energy also has its drawbacks in some ways. I mean, actually, I've heard the environmental impact of producing solar panels is actually like really bad.
Yeah, it's really bad because the some of the stuff they use is they're mined out of something. Yeah,
I think it's both individually some of the materials being used, and also that it takes a ridiculous amount of fossil fuel just to transport everything because it uses all these pieces from all over the world.
Yeah, and they're using like huge ships that are using gallons each hour to just go. So yeah,
I wonder. I haven't looked into the fuel efficiency of like ships versus planes.
They're actually starting to do that hydrogen. Some oil tankers are going hydrogen, and I think that's because the thing with hydrogen, I think you need to keep it cool. I think I'm not a physicist at all. That's not something I know anything about, but I think you need to keep it stable at least. And in the ship, I think it's easier because you have a bigger quantum. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. But that's great using the larger, not the planes maybe, but trains. Trains are starting to go electric many places. But like trailers, large trailers, semi trucks, and boats, ships going electric, or some running on salt water. I don't care. Something not gasoline, diesel, or whatever. It's yeah. I feel I'm kind of passionate about this. I didn't know.
Well, as someone who both likes to spend time in nature and works with electricity as a job, I feel like you probably have a lot of insight into that sort of stuff, and a lot of investment in that.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we do have like some installation of solar panels and stuff like that, and how electric motors are built, and we have to do like LEDs. There's no like the glowing light bulb is not allowed in the EU. The halogen, I think it's called halogen in those two. It's not allowed. It's not allowed in the EU anymore. It's not allowed to produce it. So just LEDs everywhere because it's used less energy.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And they last friggin' forever.
I have like spotlights up here. I think you can see some of them here. They're about 8 watts, and they have the efficiency of 60.
Yeah, it's
so in lights.
It's incredible. I mean, I've seen footage before of like, like a hand crank sort of thing, comparing like how much energy it takes to light, incandescent versus, any sort of halogen versus LED, and it's just you crank and crank and crank on the other ones, and it maybe starts to light up a little bit. You just start turning the crank at all, and the LED just all light. It's incredible.
Yeah, we have this in all buildings now. You have this. You need to have the newer publicly owned buildings like schools and stuff. You need to have control on what everything is using. You need the heating central heat system needs to be controlled, how much energy it uses and stuff like that. For measurements, I have no idea why, but it's required. And then you can go in and you can see how much the whole building is using. And it was at this school, and I think it was autumn, in the fall, sometime, and it used less power than my house maximum power.
Wow.
If I cranked everything up in my house before the fuse broke, I mean, the school used less than that. And that's kind of incredible in the summer with big school, not too big. I mean, it was probably a couple of 100 students there, but it's kind of a large building nonetheless. It was using 80 amps, I think. So yeah, just LEDs everywhere, and you have the heating system that's going green, picking up the heat from the ground and stuff like that. So it just bare minimum everywhere. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Could talk for hours about this too, and maybe we shall, but we reached our time once again. This went fast.
Yep. It went fast.
It went fast.
We've got to conserve energy and
turn off.
Call it here.
Yeah, I'm drinking cold coffee. Just
Coffee's good at whatever temperature it is.
Nah, I do not agree. But anyways, guys, as usual, smash the subscribe button and the like button and the notification bell and everything you find on the YouTube page or Spotify or Google Play or wherever you find us. Just click around until you hear some plings and beeps and bops. We're happy with whatever you do. Yeah. If you have something you want to ask, what are you going to do then, Tony? If people have something they want to ask us about,
I'm probably just going to ignore it because I really don't care. Oh no! Sorry, the opposite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, we go to the. We have a subreddit. You can ask the questions there.
Yeah, you can. I haven't checked that in ages. I don't think that's happened a lot there.
Yeah,
but we would love to if you checked out. Or we have an email,
That's true too.
And we have the comment section on YouTube. So yeah, if you want to join us on the side or some up in the corner here, down here, or whatever, there, contact us and we might let you in the warmth. Yeah.
Be warned though, we're a very elitist and picky pair, so you got to be really good.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. See you around, guys.
See you later. See you next time. Bye.